What you eat could be silently affecting your most precious asset, your memory. Certain foods might be damaging your brain, making it harder to recall important details, focus, or even connect with the people. Memory loss is not just a symptom of aging. It is triggered by wrong diets. These foods may seem harmless, but over time, they could be costing you your clarity. So which foods are putting your brain at risk, and how can you avoid them? Join us as we reveal the foods you must avoid to protect your memory. The truth about memory. From the moment we are born, our brains are bombarded by a huge amount of information about ourselves and the world around us. So how do we hold on to everything we have learned and experienced? Memories! Human memory is a powerful storage system that helps us learn, grow, and navigate the world. It allows us to recall everything from our earliest childhood experiences to complex problem-solving skills. Whether it's remembering a loved one's face or recalling facts for an exam, memory is central to how we function. With that said, it's important to understand just how vital your brain is to your overall health and well-being. Your brain is the most important organ in your body. It keeps your heart beating, lungs beating, and all the systems in your body functioning. That's why it's essential to keep your brain working in optimum condition with a healthy diet. Some foods have negative effects on the brain, impacting your memory and mood, and increasing your risk of dementia. Estimates predict that dementia will affect more than 65 million people worldwide by 2030. Luckily, you can help reduce your risk of the disease by cutting certain foods out of your diet. But are you unknowingly consuming the very foods that could be putting your brain at risk? Find out the top foods to avoid to protect your brain and reduce your risk of dementia. 6 surprising foods that affect memory. Sugary drinks. Sugary drinks, including beverages like soda, sports drinks, energy drinks, and fruit juices. A high intake of sugary drinks not only expands your waistline and boosts your risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease, it also has a negative effect on your brain. An excessive intake of sugary drinks increases the odds of developing type 2 diabetes, which has been shown to increase the risk of Alzheimer's disease. In addition, higher sugar levels in the blood can increase the risk of dementia, even in people without diabetes. The main ingredient in many sugary drinks is high fructose corn syrup, which is 55% fructose and 45% glucose. Consuming too much fructose can cause weight gain, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and artery damage. These conditions can increase the risk of developing dementia later in life. Research on animals has found that consuming too much fructose can cause the brain to become less responsive to insulin, leading to memory loss. One study in rats found that a diet high in sugar increased brain inflammation and impaired memory. Rats that ate a diet with 11% high fructose corn syrup performed worse than those that ate a diet with 11% regular sugar. Another study found that rats fed a diet high in fructose gained more body fat. While further studies in humans are needed, the results suggest that a high intake of fructose from sugary drinks may have additional negative effects on the brain, beyond the effects of sugar. Some alternatives to sugary drinks include water, unsweetened iced tea, vegetable juice, and unsweetened dairy products. Refined carbohydrates. Refined carbohydrates include sugars and highly processed grains, such as white flour. These types of carbs generally have a high glycemic index. This means your body digests them quickly, causing a spike in your blood sugar and insulin levels. Also, when eaten in larger quantities, these foods often have a high glycemic load. The glycemic index refers to how much a food raises your blood sugar levels, based on the serving size. Foods that are high glycemic index and high glycemic load have been found to impair brain function. Research has shown that just a single meal with a high glycemic load can lead to memory loss in both children and adults. Another study in healthy university students found that those who had a higher intake of fat and refined sugar also had poorer memory. This effect on memory may be due to inflammation of the hippocampus, a part of the brain that affects some aspects of memory, as well as responsiveness to hunger and fullness cues. Inflammation is known as a risk factor for degenerative diseases of the brain, including dementia. Elderly people who get more than 58% of their daily calories from carbohydrates have an almost double risk of mild mental impairment and dementia. Consuming high amounts of refined carbohydrates can also affect brain function, leading to dementia. Healthy, lower glycemic index carbs include foods such as vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains. Foods high in trans fats. Trans fats are a type of unsaturated fat that can have a detrimental effect on brain health. While trans fats occur naturally in animal products like meat and dairy, these are not a major concern. It is industrially produced trans fats, also known as hydrogenated vegetable oils, that are a problem. These artificial trans fats can be found in shortening, margarine, frosting, snack foods, ready-made cakes, and prepackaged cookies. When people consume higher amounts of trans fats, they tend to have an increased risk of Alzheimer's disease, poorer memory, and lower brain volume. Trans fats should be avoided. They have a negative effect on many other aspects of health, including heart health and inflammation. More research is required on the effects of trans fats on memory. An existing study of 38 women found that those who consume more saturated fat relative to unsaturated fat performed worse on memory and recognition measures. It may be that their relative ratios of fat in the diet are an important factor, not just the type of fat itself. For example, diets high in omega-3 fatty acids have been found to help protect against cognitive decline. Omega-3s increase the secretion of anti-inflammatory compounds in the brain and can have a protective effect, especially in older adults. You can increase the amount of omega-3 fats in your diet by eating foods like fish, chia seeds, flax seeds, and walnuts. Highly processed foods. Highly processed foods tend to be high in sugar, added fats, and salt. They include foods such as chips, sweets, instant noodles, microwave popcorn, store-bought sauces, and ready-made meals. These foods are usually high in calories and low in other nutrients. They are exactly the kind of foods that cause weight gain, which can have a negative effect on your brain health. Increased fat around the organs is associated with brain tissue damage. The nutrient composition of processed foods in the Western diet can also negatively affect the brain and contribute to the development of degenerative diseases. Also, a diet high in unhealthy ingredients can result in lower levels of sugar metabolism in the brain and a decrease in brain tissue. A research involving 18,080 people found that a diet high in fried foods and processed meats is associated with lower scores in learning and memory. So diet high in red meat, processed meat, baked beans, and fried food is linked with inflammation and a faster decline in reasoning over 10 years. In animal studies, rats fed a high-fat, high-sugar diet for 8 months showed impaired learning ability and negative changes to brain plasticity. Another study found that rats fed a high-calorie diet experienced disruptions to the blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier is a membrane between the brain and blood supply for the rest of the body. It helps protect the brain by preventing some substances from entering. One of the ways processed foods may negatively impact the brain is by reducing the production of a molecule called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This molecule is found in various parts of the brain, including the hippocampus, and it's important for long-term memory, learning, and the growth of new neurons. Therefore, any reduction can have negative impacts on these functions. You can avoid processed foods by eating mostly fresh, whole foods such as fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, meat, and fish. Additionally, a Mediterranean-style diet has been shown to protect against cognitive decline. Aspartame. Aspartame is an artificial sweetener used in many sugar-free products. People often choose to use it when trying to lose weight or avoid sugar when they have diabetes. It is also found in many commercial products, not specifically targeted at people with diabetes. However, this widely used sweetener has also been linked to behavioral and cognitive problems, though the research has been controversial. It is made of phenylalanine, methanol, and aspartic acid. Phenylalanine can cross the blood-brain barrier and might disrupt the production of neurotransmitters. Additionally, aspartame is a chemical stressor and may increase the brain's vulnerability to oxidative stress. Some scientists have suggested these factors may cause negative effects on learning and emotions, which have been observed when aspartame is consumed in excess. Aspartame is also linked to several concerning effects on both mental and neurological health. When consumed in high amounts, around 11 mg for every pound of body weight, consuming high amounts of aspartame can have detrimental effects on emotional well-being and mental function. Also, too much of aspartame can affect the mood, worsen depression, and impair thinking. Moreover, consuming artificially sweetened soft drinks increases the risk of stroke and dementia, further suggesting that these sweeteners pose significant risks to brain health. Animal studies reveal even more alarming effects. Regular intake of aspartame impairs memory, triggers oxidative stress in the brain, and throws off the brain's natural antioxidant balance. These findings suggest that long-term exposure to aspartame may have damaging consequences on cognitive function and emotional well-being. In addition, a number of researchers have reported that aspartame has no adverse effects. However, if you'd prefer to avoid it, you can simply cut artificial sweeteners and excess sugar from your diet altogether. Alcohol. When consumed in moderation, alcohol can be an enjoyable addition to a nice meal. However, excessive consumption can have serious effects on the brain. Chronic alcohol may result in a reduction in brain volume, metabolic changes, and disruption of neurotransmitters, which are chemicals that the brain uses to communicate. People with alcoholism often have a deficiency in vitamin B1. This can lead to a brain disorder called Wernicke's encephalopathy, which in turn can develop into Korsakoff's syndrome. That's not all. Alcohol consumption during pregnancy has bad effects on the fetus. Since the brain is still developing, alcohol exposure can lead to developmental disorders like fetus alcohol syndrome. In teenagers, alcohol abuse is equally harmful as their brains are still maturing. Teenagers who consume alcohol show clear abnormalities in brain structure, function, and behavior compared to those who abstain. More so, alcoholic beverages mixed with energy drinks have greater risk. They lead to higher rates of binge drinking, memory loss, risk behavior, and a greater risk of alcohol dependence. Alcohol also disrupts sleep patterns. Drinking large amounts before bed is linked to poor sleep quality, which can result in chronic sleep deprivation. However, moderate alcohol consumption has been linked to certain benefits, such as improved heart health and a reduced risk of diabetes. These positive effects are most commonly associated with drinking 1 glass of wine per day. Overall, you should avoid excessive alcohol consumption, especially if you're a teenager or a young adult, and avoid binge drinking entirely. If you are pregnant, it is the safest to avoid drinking alcohol altogether. The foods you eat can have a profound impact on your brain, health, and memory. Have you been consuming these foods? Share yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the next one shown on the screen.